I got back late from Friendsgiving yesterday, and I just went straight to bed. So here we are the next day, finishing up where we left off. We're just gonna be comping, vocal compiling, whatever, comping what we were working on.
Endlessly on my, endlessly on my, endlessly on my mind, endlessly on my, endlessly on my mind, 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 endlessly.
So I think this is the best, except for that part, this little part.
Endlessly on my mind, endlessly.
Right, like that sounds better.
Endlessly on my, endlessly, endlessly on, endlessly, endlessly on, endlessly on, endlessly. I'm sleepless every night, endlessly on my mind. I'm sleepless every night, endlessly on my, endlessly on my, endlessly on my.
It's really the part where it goes endlessly on. And the end of endlessly and the word on just sounds weird in this.
Endlessly on my, endlessly on my mind, endlessly on my mind, endlessly on my, endlessly on my.
This might be too extra, bro. That's just too extra. We'll work with this. I just hate. I don't know. The on just sounds right.
Endlessly on my mind, endlessly on my.
Let's preview it when it's tuned up.
Endlessly on my mind, endlessly on my.
Tighter.
Endlessly on my mind.
We'll see what happens when it's fully tuned and everything. See if we still like it. Let's move on.
My grief is satisfied. No.
We'll come back to that.
Grief is satisfied. My grief is satisfied. My grief is satisfied.
I like that one.
My grief is satisfied. 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 My grief is satisfied.
What is that in time?
My grief satisfied. My grief is 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 satisfied. My grief died.
Yeah, I clipped there, so I gotta pick something else. Don't clip, bro.
My grief is satisfied. Died. My grief is satisfied. My grief is satisfied. My grief is satisfied.
I think I like that one better. It has less. It has a little less energy, but it sounds better.
My grief is satisfied.
Right? I think it just sounds a little smoother.
My grief is satisfied.
I think it.
My grief is satisfied.
Let's try it with a little less tuning. Run this bitch.
My grief satisfied. Satisfied. You satisfied. My grief is satisfied. On my mind. Side.
Pooh. Mi perro. Pushy, pushy, pushy.
Side.
Yep. I don't know if you can see him from the camera angle. He's right here. Pushy. Ah, you're all in my glove, bro. Yes. Okay, whatever.
Side.
These have the same energy. I'm just gonna go with this one. It's what my first instinct was, so I'm gonna stick with that.
Right.
I think we're gonna keep this one though.
No.
What just happened? Okay, I remember it was this one.
Endlessly on my mind. Endlessly on my mind.
Was it this one?
My grief is satisfied. My grief is satisfied. Endlessly on my mind. Endlessly on my mind.
No.
Endlessly on.
Keep it. Stop overthinking it, bro. Just keep that. It's good. Let's move on. Take forever on this.
You left me so deprived. You left me so deprived.
Man, I clipped the shit out of these.
You left me so deprived. When do these feelings for you die?
Go with the OG. This is now finished. So now, on to the next step. As you might know from watching my other stuff, we level this. Well, first, I just kind of clean it up. This is just aesthetic purposes when editing. I just like my shit looking clean when I edit. This is not necessary, but it helps knowing what take is exactly what to take and knowing it helps for sure, like blending your shit. Oh, also, pro tip: when you're comping, good place to comp is always your sibilance. Perfect time. It's a perfect time to splice your takes together because they are like works 99% of the time. Always. This is the S. I can just tell by the way the waveform is. Like that's a vowel. This is a S. Just the way it's like a scraggly and shit. It always works really smoothly on S's. So that's just a little pro tip you can always use comping your vocals. These are both the same take, 40, 32, 38, 43. Did we take 43 takes? Holy shit. Anyways, okay. Now let's check to see if it's on time. Early, right? Just drag it over a nudge.
You take a...
Oh, also, see, here's a sibilance, right? See, it's like more dense and scraggly. That's how you can tell, usually, just visually. You don't want the consonant on the down. You want the vowel, the actual note, because the consonants around it is, yes, it's percussive, and I might be wrong on this. Someone correct me if I am, but it sounds good when the actual note being played by your voice is on the down, and it's not the consonant, and then, right, the take up, is not a note, it's not a sound, it's just the consonant to help you understand that A is the first note. Take up, right? Except for right here, it sounds good, right? Cup, take, cup, right? Little K sound right here. That tiny hump, that's a tiny sound. And that happens to be on the down. So it's not 100% using consonants before the vowel, but for the most part, I try to keep it like that when it's obvious. And here's the hump, right? The spikes in the audio, you want to make sure it's on the 8th, right here, right there, on the 8th notes. As long as it's within that, don't worry about anything else between that, unless it's a really fast vocal take and you need it that tight, but for the most part, just 8th notes.
All my time, my time.
There we go. Because it does scoop, so
There's not enough.
This one's early, I think, but it scoops into it, so could leave it, right?
Every night.
We can dress that up in Melodyne. I don't want to chop it up and stuff.
Yeah.
This is all early. Let's actually just nudge that over. I'm not too worried about stuff being a little behind the beat, but I'm worried about stuff being early. Because personally, I just don't like stuff that comes early. That's when stuff sounds really off time. But when it drags behind the beat, it's perfectly fine for the most part if it's just within taste, you know what I mean? I'm also not that genius at this, so some people would probably argue against me, but I think from 4 years of vocal producing, that's what I like.
Endlessly on my grief is for satisfied. You left me so deprived. When do these feel die?
Yeah, that felt a little dragged.
For
There you go. See what I mean?
you die. Feelings for you die.
That does feel a little rushed though, right? So let's see how much do we nudge it over. We nudge it over 4 ticks. Let's go half that, right? Let's get a little balance in there, huh?
For you die. Feelings for you die.
Beautiful. Okay, let's run it into Melodyne now. We can also just take this guy down, just a hair. Well, I was gonna say something. Lost my train of thought. Let's put it into Melodyne. I can think of it while it records it. Make sure your compressor or any effects is always before Melodyne if you're using Melodyne. Otherwise, it'll feed into Melodyne and it'll be cooked into there. Which sometimes you might want, right? But I like having control. I like having Melodyne being the first thing and then editing it after that. So let's go. And I usually mute it, recording into Melodyne. I'm like already tired of hearing it for the 30th time. Alright, we got it. And y'all know the drill. We gotta come in here.
Do these feelings for you die.
Okay, so we are here to mix it. We have the old version. We're gonna do A/B test just to see if we improved or not. And now we're going to chop the bits up and make it nice and a nice and even performance. That U is so small. So I pulled the screen. Yeah. Oh, also if you're Ableton user, just press Shift Tab to navigate between those two things. If you didn't know that, probably saved you a lot of time there. Kind of want to keep that intensity there, so I don't want to turn that intense part down that much. But for sake of balance, I will just a hair.
You take up all my time.
And let's also turn off all the effects because we don't know what it's going to sound like. We don't want to know what it sounds like just yet. Post compressors, make sure it sounds good before we send it in so we're not messing anything up.
You take up all my time. I'm sleepless endlessly on my. You take up all my time. I'm sleepless every night. Endlessly, my grief is saddest. You left me so deprived. When do these feelings for you? You take up all my time. I'm sleepless every night. Endlessly on my mind. My grief is satisfied. You left me so deprived. When
Honestly, I need to put a DS before that. Oh wait, I'm gonna be messing with. Ooh, I don't want to do that. So yeah, let's duplicate that. I don't want to mess with the settings of the first verse or pre-chorus, whatever. So we will just open a new track, delete that, turn all these back on, act like we weren't just here. This one's supposed to be there.
when do these feelings for you die?
What is that automation happening? Yeah, the format's going down, the distortion's going up, and then a tremolo is also happening and accelerating, and then I don't know why the width is going down because it's a mono vocal or whatever. It's what I did at the moment. Let's go. So usually I only run shit through a high pass from the first get-go.
all my time. I'm sleepless every night. You take up all my time.
That's really making it harsh.
You take up all my time. I'm sleepless every night.
So I'm instantly going to put a de-esser before it gets sent into all the compression. Just a light de-esser. We'll put a heavier one after.
You take up all my time. Water me down till I. You take up all my time.
There we go. And then I usually put a slow compressor first, depending on what I'm doing. Here I'm going to be using a slow compressor, a 2A, for general compression, and I usually shoot for about 5 dB reduction or below that.
You take up all my time. I'm sleepless every night, endlessly on my mind.
It doesn't really matter what compressor you use. People will say you can like hear different colors in them. It's not that deep. Your listener's not going to notice a thing, so I grab what I know is good sauce, and yeah, it works. Whatever you have, bro, just use that compressor. Just know how to use it right.
You take up all my time. I'm sleepless every night, endlessly on my mind. My grief is saddest. You left me so deprived.
But like that being said, you need to know the equipment to some extent. It's just pointing at me. I know for a fact that the plug Fairchild 660 emulation, whatever you want to call it, I know that it sounds good on a fast setting, like a fast attack. This thing is just like the best fucking compressor ever for vocals, because you can use an 1176, but that just sounds harsh. It sounds good when you want a more obviously compressed vocal. I reach for the 1176, especially in a faster vocal performance, like rapping and stuff. I'll use that, but general use, I like a fast Fairchild. And then this thing is just like magic. The R by Waves, toss that shit on it, and it just, especially for this genre, like if you're trying to make your vocals really crisp.
I'm sleepless every night.
Don't get confused with your vocal getting louder, sounding better. Like it might not sound better, but it sounds louder. Make sure your volume in and out the same level for the most part. Even though I break that rule a lot. When you're trying to learn the ropes, you want to make sure you do that.
I'm sleepless every night. You left me these feelings.
Okay. You also want to test your vocal mix with the track. Always put a de-esser before that EQ, because I don't want to make the EQ do that.
You take up all my. I'm sleepless every night. On my mind. You take up all my.
Sibilance gives life. Don't cut it completely out, the harshness of it. You could even go manually, come in here, turn that little T down. That is way better than trying to get a plugin to do it, because you are then you have way more control over it. And it's usually that one little sound that gets you, and you adjust the plugin for that one little really harsh sibilance on the de-esser, and then it affects all the other ones, and all the other ones are too muted. So make sure you edit it before you mix.
Love it when you don't give a single fuck for me. I'd rather feel pain now that loving you bores me. You take up all my time. I'm sleepless every night, endlessly on my mind. My grief is set aside. You left a pride. When do these feelings for you die? That's my life, that's my life. I'm with the time. Don't say I lost my mind. You made it on its own. Insomniac, every night. Insomniac, I'm degraded for only text when you're drunk. You won't let me move on. You said it's my fault. I wanna scream out my. Reduce me to dust. Water me down till I rust. You take up all my time. I'm sleepless every night, endlessly on my mind. Satisfied, you left me so deprived. When do these feelings for you die? Say you lost my mind.
Okay, that's sounding part of it.
You take up all my time.
Kind of like it.
Palma,
Turn it up, you down.
Palma, you take a Palma, Palma.
See, that sounds a little better, doesn't it? A little too exaggerated, but it was better. Okay, so just double checking, because I'm trying to copy this little thing on the second pre-course. So we sent it in pre-mixed, or post-mix, I'm sorry. So instead of this, right, that's dry. We need to have it post-effects cooked into it. Turn down that T, it's also harsh.
Time, my time, my time.
Okay, then we are just going to record it from V1, pre, to, there we go, cool. So much better, yeah, glad I did that. I'm gonna make a Vox swell to make a different riser, right? Take this off real quick. I'm gonna borrow this channel, if you don't mind, bro. It's a cool channel, I'm gonna borrow it. Do a vocal haul, yeah, we'll go with that. And then we'll print it to here. Perfect, no, that didn't work. Okay, not that one. The other one. That one. Okay. Why is it not playing? What the fuck? I just want to play. Oh, that's its output. Here we go. For real this time. Control Z, Control Z. Okay, now we're good. Put these back how they were. Delete that. Turn off that. Not recording anymore. Boom. Reverse it. We're still going. Cool. What does that say? Hour. Oh, that's a note too low. Yeah, there we go. You can just do a simple fix with complex, right? Okay, that is actually, I'm just going to fix that inside Melodyne.
Water feet down till I rest. Water feet down till I reduce me to dust. Water feet down till I rest. Reduce me to dust. Water down till I rest. Water till I rest. Water till I rest. Till I rest. Till I rest.
Recording this is just like ruining my creativity, and I don't want to edit that much. I think we got a glimpse of my recording process, a little bit of our mixing, and I'm just gonna leave it at that for tonight. And I'll give y'all some sauce tomorrow. Maybe I'll start recording later on in this mix, but I just want to work on this and not have to worry about making too much footage to edit down. Like a 3.5 hour YouTube video does not sound like it would be a smart idea. But if y'all want that kind of raw content, just let me know and I will be more than happy to do that. But wait, is now I'm gonna stop the video and I'll see you guys tomorrow.